You're never gonna feel like it, but you gotta just do it anyway. That's totally not something I say to my girlfriend, but something I say to myself every single day. Well, I don't know if this sounds familiar to you. Has this ever happened to you? You know there's something super important you gotta do, but you're like, oh, I just don't feel like it. I'm too full, I'm too hungry, I'm too tired, I'm too energetic, whatever it is, and you just ended up not doing it. And guess what happens later? You regret it. And it's even worse is when you see somebody else doing something that you know you should be doing as well, and you didn't, especially with social media nowadays. And I freaking hate that feeling. In this video, I'm gonna go through the exact framework that I've applied every single day to make the micro action to have a macro impact. And trust me, I know a lot about the micro action with the macro impact. My name is Tony Schroeder. I'm a stand-up comedian and entrepreneur. And for the past decade or so, I've been very fortunate to have turned my passion into a profitable life. I've been so lucky to have earned my first $1 million doing the things I love. And even better, I've been able to empower people just like yourself to do the same. I've helped people from finally starting their very first business. Now, one of the biggest things that I have personally experienced and have seen so many people experience as well is that when we don't have the right framework for life and for business, things are significantly more challenging than it needs to be. Right? It's like not having a leverage. I could spend the same amount of time, but the result could be drastically different. Now, the thing about not feeling like doing what you know you need to do is this. Typically, there is a pain that associates to it, or is that the pleasure of doing it is not enough. The way I see it is very simple. I can always choose to pay the price now, or I have to pay the price of regret later. And I will always choose to pay the price now, because regret is one of the most powerful and painful things you can experience. I'm very passionate about this right now because I hate it, okay? So I hear this all the time from my comedian friends who are like, oh man, I know I need to be creating content and putting it out there, right? I need to post on social media. I need to do more shows. I need to do more mics. But for some reason, oh man, they just don't feel like it and then ended up not doing it. Same thing for entrepreneurs and business owners. I know I got to do all these things, but I just often don't feel like it and ended up not doing it. So whatever it is that you know you gotta do but always not feel like it, in this video I'm gonna show you the exact 7-step framework that I've applied every single day and works every single time. I might not know you, but I know who I am. I know that sometimes I'm lazy, all right? I know sometimes I don't feel like it. Now, I also know that there are plenty of successful people I have learned from or become my mentors. I have learned to follow their footstep and framework and apply it to my personal and professional life. All right, so let's dive right into it. All right, here are the 7 steps of the Just Show Up framework. Okay, number 1, imagine it's already done. Feel it. Let me give you the exact example. All right, like literally 5 minutes ago, I did not feel like filming this video. I was like, oh man, I just ate dinner. I was gonna go for a nice little walk, right? Like maybe I'll need to sit down and relax a little bit. Maybe I'll go shower. Maybe I'll even hit the gym, whatever it is, right? There's like a million excuses. I did not feel like recording this video, but oh man, I started imagining, man, you know what? It was already on my calendar. I didn't feel like it either, but I put it down because I knew this is something that needs to get done and this is the good time to do it. And this is the time to do it, right? So instead of walking away and not record this video, I stopped and I imagined I've already done it. I felt it, right? I felt, man, how good it feels to have already finished recording this so I can move on to the next thing. Guess what? I can still hit the gym. Guess what? I can still go for a walk. Guess what? I can still take a shower, whatever it is, right? I imagine what it feels like that this is already done. Imagine it and feel it. Really experience it. Just literally just take a moment, breathe in, breathe out, feel it, right? So whatever it is you gotta do, okay? It could be like, you know what? I've always wanted to try doing stand-up comedy. Well, just sign up for a mic. All right, there's a million of them. Whatever city you're in, okay? I guarantee you there's some sort of open mic somewhere. Sign up for that. It could be, oh man, I always wanted to try this new instrument. Oh, I've always wanted to start a business, right? Whatever it is, take that first step, okay? Imagine it's already done. How would you feel like? More importantly, gotta have a purpose behind it, right? For me personally, I am so passionate about helping people turning their passion into a profitable life. I know this is one of the best ways to do it. So for me, it's absolutely worth it. The second step is physically move to the space. For me personally, I literally just have to walk into my studio and I just sat down. I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas in my head. Well, guess what? When you're physically in the space, your body and mind is already going to prime yourself to start doing it. It's like the hardest part about working out is getting to the gym, right? Once you get to the gym, something just magically happens. You're like, oh, bro, I'm already here. I might as well try. right? So for me, is getting into the studio, sit down. So whatever it is that you got to do, physically move yourself to the space. Third step after physically moving yourself to the space is an action trigger. Right? For me, very simply, I turn my studio light on and then pick whatever color in the background and I just sit down. Action triggered. And sometimes I do breathing exercises. Or for those of you guys who know me, I do this thing where I celebrate, right? I celebrate as if I've already finished it. I walk in the room like, what up? You know, as if I've already finished it. And guess what? When you snap yourself physically into it, there's something amazing about it, right? Where your body is just like, oh, bro, I can do this. All right, I can do this. So whatever it is that you didn't feel like doing, but you know you gotta do, get your butt off the couch or bed or chair, whatever it is you're on, right? Physically move yourself and take an action trigger. If you're trying to do stand-up comedy, right? Guess what? Look up, start searching for an open mic. If you're finally trying to start your own business, guess what? How long have you been waiting for this? Months, years, decades? Take that first step, whether it's to do the research, start writing the business plan, whatever it is, okay? Take that action trigger. Now, if you need help to figure out the exact action to take and have a cohesive strategic plan to take your passion into a profitable life, I will leave my calendar link down below. Please feel free to book a time in the link below. I'll be more than happy to chat. Now, if you find this video helpful so far, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, notification bell, and all that stuff. The number 4 step is creating the environment and creating the vibe. For me personally, sounds funny, but I light a candle like a man. All right, I light a candle or any sort of scent, right? Now you might be like, bro, are you crazy? Nobody's gonna smell it. Well, guess what? I'm not nobody. I'm somebody. In fact, I'm the most important person in this room right now, and I gotta take care of that. For me personally, I like to spray some cologne on. I personally use the Chanel Allure Sport. I can't even pronounce it. It's so fancy, I can't pronounce it. Guess what? I do spray some cologne before I shoot my YouTube videos. That's right. I can smell it myself, all right? And I am totally not sponsored by them. This was a gift. But Chanel, anytime though. Anytime, huh? Anytime. Huh? I love it. This is really great, by the way. I love this. Anyway, I digress. But the reason why I do this, whether it's lighting a candle or putting a cologne on or whatever it is that you want to do, right, is that we're creating the environment. We're creating the vibe, right? The vibe of success, the vibe of getting shit done, dog. For the colognes, because typically when I'm out on business meetings or doing shows, this is the exact cologne that I spray. So I treat this very moment just like any other successful moment that I create. The smell of success. I don't know why I have to say it like that, but the smell of success is important. You know, you don't have to do colognes, whatever, but you gotta create an environment, right? Whether it's turn some music on, just vibe it, or a candle, whatever it is, create the environment, create the vibe, right? Whatever it is you gotta do. Now, the 5th step is to just show up 1%. That's right, 1%. That's exactly what I did literally 5 minutes ago. I came into the studio, turned the light on, I sat down, I sprayed some cologne on, and I started recording it 1%. And by 1%, I mean like, man, when I first started, it sucked. Feeling a little weird, man. I'm still not quite in the vibe, you know. I'm still not quite in the mood, you know, not feeling like it. But for some reason, I'm doing it, right? And then I got into the groove. Showing up 1%, and then the next step, the 6th step, for 1% for 5 minutes. Just start taking action for 5 minutes first. And you will be surprised how 5 minutes could turn into 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is. And the momentum keeps building, right? And the next thing you know, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not only doing it, but I might have already finished what I was gonna do. Don't overcomplicate things. This is probably the number one thing that happened to most of us is we get into this analysis paralysis, right? We're just like, man, overthinking, like what if, all the time. Just show up 1%, 5 minutes, okay? I should come up with some sort of cool number thing situation over there. But, you know, 1%, 5 minutes. The 1-5 rule. Nice. That's very catchy. I'll come up with something. Got 6 steps so far. Let's review real quick. Okay. First, you imagine what it feels like, right? Imagine it's already done. You feel it. Second, physically move to the space, taking a action trigger. 4th, creating the environment. And the 5th, show up 1%. Start showing up. 1% is super powerful for me. Before I say that, give it a thumbs up. If I can reach 2,000 likes and 200 subscribers, I will record let's just be real. I'll probably just record videos anyway. But you know what? Just hit that like button, all right? So, finally, the 7th step. This is not really necessarily a step, but it's something that always helps me. Is sometimes like you can have all of these 6 steps, right? And I get the momentum going, right? And then it's challenging, it's struggling, right? It's like, I'm not really pushing through. Maybe you're in the gym, you're like, oh man, this shit is hard. Or like you're like on your way to do, finally do that thing you're gonna do, and then you're like scared, right? And maybe there's that really scary moment. You're like, man, maybe I need to stop doing this. I might need to just give up and stop, right? Well, that's where number 7 step comes in, okay? I don't know why 7 step is like this, but number 7, okay? The 7th step comes in is, what would Jesus do? Is, what would blank do, right? The reason why I say blank is whoever it is that you admire in that specific space, or maybe religiously, what would whoever do? For me personally, I know you might judge. Some of you guys might judge, all right? But you can judge all you want. I literally asked myself, what would Tom Cruise do? Shout out to Tom Cruise. I'm a big fan, all right? I know there's a lot of controversy and stuff, but guess what? I'm a huge fan of Tom Cruise because this man gets shit done. He is such an inspirational figure to me. The amount of amazing work he has done to cinematic world, to entertainment, and just his dedication to his art, to the craft. It's just, it's just, I constantly remind myself whenever I don't feel like it, especially when I feel like I'm getting a lot of resistance, I ask myself, what would Tom Cruise do? He'll probably run. Let's be real. Not run backwards, but he would just keep fucking running, bro. He would just keep running. And my dog is going ham right now. But guess what? What would Tom Cruise do? All right. He would just keep running. Like, speaking of creating an environment, I often would literally just turn on the Mission Impossible soundtrack because I freaking love that soundtrack. I have like literally listened to every single version of the soundtrack in the entire world, and I just love it. I have like a playlist of just all of it, right? So whether it's like I'm working out, running, whatever, whenever I feel the resistance, I just turn that shit on. Boom, man, it works like a charm every single time. So whatever it is for you, make it an adventure, make it a challenge, make it an impossible mission, but just ask yourself, what would blank do? What would they do? And that is the one last step for you to no longer not feel like doing it, but instead you're feeling that you have already done it. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and all that stuff. If you need help figuring out the exact action, especially if you're trying to turn something that you're passionate about into a profitable business in life, feel free to book a call in the link below, and I look forward to chatting with you. Once again, my name is Tony Schroeder, and I look forward to see you next time. Peace. Whew.